Wake up, goddammit. This is MARKETcast with Unk and Market Monk. What's up, P? How's your week?
Oh, it was really good. Just kind of kept it a little small after a couple big wins early in the week, and saw some decent pullbacks late in the week and was able to catch a few of those to the downside. I know you were off Friday, so it's kind of a put heavy day for me. We were talking about how that seems to work out that way when you're gone.
I'm a market maker, didn't you know?
Yeah.
um, really, I guess I'll start with um, not this session, but our chart session last week. I didn't know if you just quit on me or I came up aces because so much of my stuff went on the hot list, all but three. Um,
Yeah.
two of the three were the top two of those ones, but we'll talk about that in the other session. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty much follow your notes week for me. And the stuff happened early enough to just take money. And I've been on the sideways market here for a little bit, maybe even a
Yeah.
little downside, if anything. Um, but man, it was a good week. The beach definitely helped that too. Um, I'm gonna say I didn't get my dash testimonial from you, so I'm a little upset with that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, like me, you were busy with a lot of other what what your work produced. So
Yeah, it was
um,
lot of coin, a lot of in phase,
I actually
just
did
every single day.
actually did the coin. Um, I still I got what I wanted out of the my old window, right? Robbing Wall Street. Got to get what you want out the
Yeah.
window. I got my TV, man, but I could have got the bigger TV. I took like six, I think. I think I probably could have took, if you high point it, which is impossible.
Yeah,
I could have got like 13 and a half. Um,
that was the most shares I've ever bought of coin in one trade. Just because crypto's at a point where it's resilient, and I didn't want a 4% pullback to totally shake me out because
yeah.
that's kind of nothing with coin. I mean, for some stocks, 4%, it's like, okay, the setup's done, but that's just not how it works. You've seen those pivots I have on the chart, and like it just will hit three of them a day. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and when you can, I mean, I think that's what it's the hardest thing for me to get across to people in this as day traders. And someday I'll figure out how to say it where it just clicks with, 70% of the people. But if you can repeat a trade over and over again and just take enough to fill your cup, it will change your game. And you just do that. You just focus on that. You keep trading the same stuff over and over again when it makes sense to you, your setup. And you're never going to get it all, but you get what you need. And that becomes
Yeah,
that becomes a living.
and absolutely, and I think that, I mean, especially when you're coming from the option side. So like you're in a coin weekly, it spikes up 200%. It's like, of course you're gonna like sell it. I mean, I would really want to have a serious talk with someone who doesn't sell at that level,
Yeah.
or at least walk up the stop. But like, so you're not going to hold something 200% and then up 80% to try to get to 500%. That's just not how you do it with options. But when you're in shares, you go up 8%, you pull back 3%, you might go up another 10% the next day. So you keep some of it, and that really, to me, the switching to shares thing was a function of, well, account size number one,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also just wanting to actually benefit more from the work I put in. Where it's like, I put all this work into finding a setup. Am I just going to one and done this in 15 minutes and then I'm on to the next thing? That isn't as fulfilling as having some skin in the game, and keeping it through a more sustained move. And that's hard to do with options because they're so volatile. So yeah, shares, leaps, longer expirations. We're entering a phase of the market where that's more possible as well. That
Agreed.
wasn't really a good thing to be doing most of last year. So,
Yeah, I
so
didn't
yeah, a
even
lot of
say that out loud till about October.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that was just because August was proven in October, in my opinion, right? Like
Right.
what
Right.
happened in August, I was like, okay, okay, and in October it proved that that was something that was possible in that direction on thing. It just you had to be in the right places.
Uh,
Thank you for.
yeah, and the end of the year. I mean, hindsight's 2020, but what a lot of people read as the start of the next big leg down was ultimately a lot of tax loss harvesting, and then funds went right back in and started piling back into stocks again. And if you tried to go short this year so far, very hard to do unless you're really hitting it right with like what Enphase did or what oil's done, gold. Like, you know, shorting tech has just been a nightmare if that's your main thesis.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Some old
um,
dude told me on the internet about inflows and outflows and buying Christmas presents, and that turned out okay in most cases.
yeah, yeah.
You got any more on crypto, man? I said it. I even said it in chat, but I did not do the homework, and the homework is important. But I said I think Wednesday. I'm a day off always, so I'm gonna go with Wednesday. I said it. Um, that what's crypto do on 3 day weekends? Like historically, is it overwhelmingly that it goes up, like 60-80% of the time? Because I felt that was a factor in this crypto rally, and it does. People pay attention to it on these 3 day weekends for some reason. Um,
No, they do. Yeah, yeah. The 3 day weekends do tend to be pretty good. The days markets are closed um, tend to you kind of get some follow through on what's happening. You'll keep testing a level. It's 25K tests. I mean, it's
yeah,
like 4 or 5 times now. So so yeah. I mean, I think it's just really really resilient. It's not wanting to check back down or really reverse. I think it's faking out
hey,
a lot of bears right now.
hey, to be 100% honest with you, coming off the beach last weekend, sitting on my couch this morning, reading your notes a little bit. Um, when you said crypto, I looked at the price of Bitcoin. I was like, I know what list I'm trading next week. Screw the notes. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
make, I'm just gonna make this easy,
Yeah.
make this real easy for myself. But no, I like to stick with the process no matter what, right? Whether it's raining, snowing, or it's sunny outside, do the same thing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the leaps they're buying on crypto stocks are,
yeah, I seen it.
they're showing their hand there because
Yeah,
there's if it's just going to be the usual volatility, they just go weeklies both directions. But
yeah, yeah.
there's not really a day trader's reason to buy 20C on Mara or anything like that. So
The only
um,
thing I do not like about crypto right now is that if we get to flipping like August and it's like 35, even if it's 35, right? I'm gonna have to hear
yeah,
this Mara Oxy comparison, and that's gonna be the most bull crap thing I've ever had to hear in my life. I don't want to hear how Oxy is or Mara is the new Oxy all of a sudden,
right, right, yeah.
because it's looking like it might be, and I don't like that possibility because there's no correlation to that besides professors of genius.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Warren Buffett's going to buy 20% of Mara anytime soon. But
No, but the range is more, and that's
yeah,
where we
yeah,
play,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's what we do here. So to get off the pet rock, um, how's how's gas prices out there? What are you paying?
Oh, I paid 198 today.
Guess what I
I
paid?
think.
Fill up the old truck
What
to go out to the beach. Guess what I paid?
what's that?
And I go to the cheap spot. You know me. I'm not going to the expensive. I go to Costco. It's the cheapest. Come on, you got to guess. Give me a good guess. Good guess.
Oh, 310.
348. That's not. You're not bad.
Oh my God. Oh
348.
geez.
Yeah,
Wow.
348. And not the special gas. The Mercedes takes is like 380.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I don't know our muddy lakes we have around here don't quite match the pictures you were posting. So there's give and take with living in Oklahoma.
Half price gas is it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, oh man, man. So how do you see oil? I've been watching that 80 mark, and that seems like the 25K for Bitcoin.
Yeah, so the what we had a little bit of a reversal of a trend where oil was making this steep drop and the stocks were holding up pretty well. And now this most recent oil pullback, it's back here at like 76. And the stock just took a beating. I mean, Devon, worst of all, which I really want to talk about that one in the
Oh
next
boy, we
session.
are gonna talk about
But
that one.
yeah, I mean, to me, like it could pull back to like 74 or so, but it's gonna reverse here pretty soon. I don't think we get a full on breakdown. There's nothing in the option flow to really suggest that to me. Even when I look at XLE, the ETF.
Is that
So I think we're
is
just in this channel, this 72 to
okay?
82
That
channel.
yeah, no, that was my question. Was 72 your downside um alert basically? Like something's going wrong here. 72.
A breakdown at 72 would be,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Just
I
want to know if
I
that
just
changed yet.
no. So yeah, I still think that's where we are, and I think a move back up. You break 85, 90, 92. I think we could get to that. I don't think we're going to 120 or anything like that, but summer could push 100.
Really? Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it just
I think
keeps it
so.
in play, and that just keeps it in play. If they can't keep it under 85, like 85 break to me is huge because it's game on again.
Yeah,
Um, but
right.
if I just thought they'd have it under control a little bit better. If you see 100, we need to stay on these throughout the at least the first two quarters. And like
Yeah, I just think China's kind of the curveball that
okay,
could really send it. And China is a topic too that we'll get into in the next session.
oh decent, decent.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, in this range, these oil stocks are very playable for like short swings, not the 3 month swings that we were able to do last year. But yeah, I'll just I see basically like Exxon, right? They are not able to even think about testing 100 right now in the flow. Like it's just not even at all a possibility that I'm seeing just yet. Like 104, maybe, but if they can't even break 100 on Exxon, then we're still basically in an oil bull
More
market to me.
market, sure, sure.
Yeah,
No, I totally agree. I think if your thesis is true as a trader, that's when you start looking for things that are undervalued. I mean, that you've already, even if you've already played them, if they're in an uptrend, they can still be undervalued for pullback. And yeah, I think we have a good list of
yeah,
those.
and I mean, there's just they're piling into these small caps. Like I just like stuff I never even heard of. Like Canadian exploration stock that's trading at 450 that never had been on my radar. They're starting to really load up for the summer on those, and there's just no reason to do that. If they're anticipating, some big collapse, doesn't mean they can't dip a little more, but yeah, I think on the longer time frame, I'm still pretty bullish on oil.
So we'll have some Rig 2.0s coming in this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. I like it. One of my favorite sectors, I think we both were on the old real estate market. Um, I think it. I think.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the topics we might actually see a little different. I'm not. I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but I don't. I don't think that thing can break. I think after the '08 stuff, and just in the overall market in general, or markets in general, like your auto sales, your banking, everything, construction, everything. There's so much elasticity built in now that it will bend and bend and bend and bend before it breaks. And I think we've went as far as we're going to bend on real estate. And I'm out here. I mean, I know I'm in a different place than a lot of people, but there is just so much new construction because people like me aren't selling their houses. because of the switch in the interest rate. That's the problem we have. We don't have a people don't have money problem. We have a people don't have the opportunity to buy a home. So that pushes builders to build. And I'm seeing it all over the place right now, which is going to lead to good real estate numbers because those houses get sold.
Yes, I think we're similar. I mean, my take on real estate stocks was that the situation for the stocks will improve before the actual real estate market does, because I feel like they anticipated things being a lot worse than it ended up materializing. I mean, that's why, especially the growth stocks in that like open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just I missed a ton of that move, but even catching part of it, I mean, it fell all the way, well under $1, and then got back to 3. And I think it's just going to kind of stabilize around here. Something that's more like O, which is just kind of a better, better like a dividend stock. They're kind of really good real estate stock. It's kind of stabilized as well. So I I think that it's absorbed all the punches it's really going to. It would take something really catastrophic to see a full breakdown in these stocks again.
Yeah, and I like the big Z. I mean, you know that you've been around me
Yeah,
long enough, and I remember I think it was like 28, and I was like, this is a $40 stock. And we said that about a lot of stuff. We could probably use Netflix as an example too when it was down in the low hundreds, but it actually getting back there as fast as it did and past that, um, just shows the strength of those in that sector. And there's a lot that people just don't know about. So I think there's still a bunch of opportunity there in the long run. I'm with you on open though. Preaching to the flipping choir. I didn't want to touch it down under $1.
yeah,
um, but
yeah.
the
It got to about 130, and I was like, I felt like I could read it again because it was that 150C and the 2C became relevant. And with stocks in that range, AMRS is the same way. Until 2C gets active, it's hard to
sure,
read those.
yeah,
So that one, even if it's at like 120, 130, that 2C a couple months out is still plausible. And so that's where I can really read those. But I
yeah.
mean, looking back, I should have had my thesis sometimes on a stock that's just way down is, you know, is this company going to exist a
Mm-hmm.
few years from now? If I say yes, then okay, I'll buy 300 shares at whatever, 80 cents, and I'll just let it sit there.
Sure.
And I've done that with a few things, but I should have probably done that with open given our experience with it. But there was just so much better stuff at the time that you're not going to
Yeah,
push it
yeah,
out.
and I mean we're coming up on probably I think this weekend is our first whole year together here, um, and we're still I mean it's still a work in progress in that regard on how we deliver the information, and I don't think it was a proper thing to tell people to hold stocks last year, um,
Yeah,
as kind of being a day trading focused room, but um, I kind of started mentioning that like with the Tesla note, right? Like if you are going to long term something, there's definitely good opportunities. But what the information we normally provide is meant for more of a short term. You're paying short term taxes on it. That's what it's meant for.
yeah. Well, right. And we've been at this a year, and it was also a year where S&P went down 19%, which
Yes.
is not a typical year if you look at market history.
Yeah, yeah,
but
but I mean, it's
yeah,
just not what we were really focused on doing. Saying, "Hey, buy these and
yeah,
hold them for 4 or 5 years."
yeah,
But the opportunities are there, and I mean, it's definitely something with like the new pages that you brought up that we can kind of start doing that a little bit more. Um, I was saying swing a little in October, but I'm not going to tell people what to swing, right? Like that's your own thing. Um,
yeah.
I don't think we've never not said even when we started, if you believe in it, buy it. If you use it, buy it. Right? That's always been a focus for us for sure. Um, heavy ERs this month. A lot of that first quarter stuff kind of dictates the year. Um, we still got some coming this week, which don't necessarily want to focus on those as much as the stuff that we already know. I already like the information or having information, so the ones that have passed are kind of better plays in my opinion. But just kind of want to get your feeling on the overall landscape of what we've gotten so far.
Yeah. So I think, for one thing, a lot of them have been going up on earnings, and then the play the next day, if you're going to trade them, is not necessarily. I mean, a lot of them have sold off, like Net and Dash,
Yes. Yes.
sold off after earnings.
Yes.
Um, some though just went up all day, like Twilio and Roku, like had a positive reaction the next day. So I think if you're going to trade that next day, what's likely going to happen is you're going to get a sustained move, either direction. What I like to do is for something that's opening, pretty high. I like to play the flush on it with the expectation that that might just come right back. So I might buy three contracts, sell two, put a stop at entry, and that might just zero out, or it might go 600%. And that's what happened with Net. That's what happened with Dash. So if you're going to trade the aftermath, that's it. If you're going to trade into it, I think shares is the way to go, because you're going to get um, a pretty big spike, even on some bad numbers, because the way the market seems to be interpreting this is that these companies are starting to take fundamentals seriously, and there's a kind of realism in their guidance and all of that. And given where they're coming from, people are more willing, to go into that than just, you know, we're burning cash, and years from now we'll be good. It's all fine. Market was very forgiving about that. It's not right now. But companies seem to be kind of clued into that. You can sort of tell in the guidance calls and all that. So I'm definitely looking this week at Pan W and Coin on Tuesday after hours. Those are probably the two big ones that I'm after. Um, Ones to not forget about. PBR has earnings this week.
Yes.
Nvidia is a big one. I'm not a big semiconductor trader. I can't explain why. There are people in the room who focus more on those. I've just not been great. Just tuned into that sector. Been kind of skeptical about the sector, to be honest.
Better
So
plays. Better plays.
yeah, yeah. So I think um, that might be a bad one. Like they could fall pretty far, but we'll see. And then Into is kind of a big mega cap Thursday after hours to watch as well.
Yeah, I pretty much. I mean, for me, ERs aren't. They're dessert. I don't know how else to explain it. They're a side dish. They're not the main course over here. But when I see opportunity, especially good opportunity, and I think I have something figured out, I definitely play it. And Meta and Dash weren't a mistake. And if you notice, they're very, very similar setups. They're on my levels. They're companies that know how to write reports and probably are going to stay in business. And they were plays that we played leading into. Um, because you just kind of seen that in other stuff. The Tesla, right? Let's just use that one. The run up was great. We missed it. You didn't. But
Yeah.
the run up to ER was amazing. Just the run up. You didn't even need the ER report. So just taking that kind of simple information for me, I look for the opportunity of the plays that I trusted that we follow. And that's where those came from. And those were huge successes. Anyone that followed those should have done really, really, really well. Um, but that's not going to be, I'm not looking for the next one because I won off of those two, right? If that opportunity presents itself, I'll play it. um, and this week it just seems like the better, and we'll talk about it definitely in the next session, that the stuff we already know, um, through the reports, those plays are better based on the fundamentals, like you're saying, companies taking them seriously. Sorry I was a year early on fundamentals. um,
Yeah.
but you seen it coming. You just didn't know when that's going to have to be taken seriously again, and we are there. And the companies that just to keep this real short, the companies that sell a product or have something tangible, like you got to keep in a warehouse or something, they can't really juke numbers. These companies that just literally run on tech and ads, or like DoorDash, they're just the back door. They don't pay the drivers, right? It's just a percentage cut. Like
Yeah.
they can make the money right really 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 fast, really really fast. Um,
Not a coincidence with the Facebook comparison that they both did a buyback.
yep. Yeah, yeah,
So
because
yeah,
yeah, 100.
yeah,
Well, you're trying to allure people back to your stock. If you're buying, they're buying, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
you again, that's why we follow these companies regularly, because you kind of learn how they move, and they all move different. They're all shady different
yeah.
in that regard. But you said it in the work part last week, that Dash just knows how to write a report. Um, and I think a lot of people felt that way going in. And not that they had the best ER, but they definitely made what they had look good, and like they were trying to appease the market's needs. And that's what you're looking for right now. You really are, or you're looking for high demand in the world. That's where the money's going to be, and as a short term trader, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with so like the Friday sell off after earnings definitely kind of overdid it, falling back to 61. But even at 61, this stock was on January 10th was $46.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and that's my whole take on like the perma bears right now. It's even these pullbacks are retracing a fraction of the move these stocks have made. So I don't know how you can call that a reversal. Even especially when I'm just not seeing you're not seeing the big out of the money put numbers months out that you would expect if things are going to just collapse.
Hey, I'm a day trader. We called that at 57. It's still at 61, which is 5%, and it ran. I mean, if you're going to high point it, we'll do the high point guy. It ran to 77. if,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
didn't get out at that 3 seconds, no, but still, I mean, it was at 70, which was your target for a long time,
yeah,
a whole day, and you had that opportunity right there to do that. And that's all it's about, is just finding the opportunity um, in these moves. And that's probably not the best example, but it's just the
yeah,
most
yeah. Well,
recent
and
most
I mean, if
recent example.
and once I'm out, I didn't really want it. I don't want it to hold 70 because it's hard to buy it up there. I
Sure.
mean, so it would take a long time. It'd take like a month of it staying above 70 for me to feel comfortable buying it that high. So for it to pull back, it's like, well, we can just retest where we just were,
You
and
know,
that's what you're seeing a
you
lot
know what
too.
I sold it at? You got to guess.
What's that?
65.
Yeah,
Real. I sold it and went and made the video. That's how you should know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you could have at least held for 668 or
Nope.
69.
Nah, I mean the market right. I do want to say this. The market right now is kind of getting back to the euphoric part. I mean, there's some euphoria in here. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I guess as we go into SPY, they do want to kind of keep it up here in this range, saying, like this 412 is real. I don't think we're going to go below 400, to be honest with you, because they want to get people to get back in the market. It just seems that way, and they are, whoever they is. This is
yes.
this is when I mention them, is when I have an overall feeling for the whole market, not an individual stock. But
Right.
it just feels like the overall sentiment needs to be euphoria for some reason.
Yeah, right. And I mean, interestingly, and we'll get into SPY in a second, but 400 is huge psychologically. 402 is actually a much bigger number in terms of what they're actually doing in options. So it's almost like it's a buffer where they don't want to test that 400 and let the bears claim that. It changes the whole perception of what's happening.
Yeah, we're kind of walking down the 418, 416, 415 with that.
Anything like you put QQQ under 304, it's like holding a beach ball underwater. if it slips, it's going to just pop right back up and pop past that number. So it's just been a lot safer. That's why I kept saying to play puts to, not through 304, because it just hasn't been staying under it for a meaningful amount of time, and you just get wrecked trying to do that.
So what do you got on SPY this week?
Um,
I got you last week. Oh, it's on the top end. Well, you beat me on the bottom end
yeah,
though,
you
because
did.
I have it. I had it. You got me on the bottom end though, so we'll call that a tie because you had the bottom end way better than me. I had it actually dipping below 400 for a little bit, and it never did. Which that bear thesis that you just said kind of says why. Which I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. So this week, I'm going to say four 418 and 402.
All right, I'm gonna go 400 on the bottom because I'm not gonna go below that. But we do have this pattern. Is 418 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago it was 16. It was 15 last week. So it's kind of like that top end is stepping down. If we get back to 18, it's a little bit of a breakout. What's my thesis? I'm kind of on the stop of my thesis. Do we continue pullback or do we pop? And if we pop, I'm going to go 420. And if we pull back, I'm going to go my 412. I think we pop. Let's go 420.
Nice. I like it.
Rock us to sleep into the maybe a little pullback GDP on I think it's Tuesday. It'll the market gives the finger to the feds on Wednesday. Um, Housing numbers come in decent as I kind of stated earlier and then we get the personal consumer expense on Friday, and I think that number dictates next week. But
Yeah.
it also will dictate what happens on Friday. And we have had a pattern of sell-offs on Friday, so I'm a little concerned about that. But I just don't see no reason for a big pull down. I just don't see it.
And we're getting to on the day chart about 50 RSI. And we have had some hard reversals off that. So and I mean that isn't the be all end all for me, but when it lines up with some levels, like if it does dip to that 50, that would put us at like that 402 to 404, which has been a good spot for it to bounce as well. So kind of a lot lines up for me to see like a kind of a pullback, trap some bears and bounce. I get less and less persuaded about the big flip stuff. Um, but mainly like the overall idea is fine, but the proponents of it, they keep trying to pull things into it that weren't part of it
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they said it. Like, copper going up today is somehow bearish, when the whole reason I even got into it was they said copper was going to pull back, and I was like, yeah, I think it is going to pull back, and it did. But now it's they haven't even tested $4 on it, and the stocks had pulled back, and so now they're actually looking good for tomorrow, and in the flow too in my notes. So yeah, I just think especially people trying to day trade some big flip scenario, longs are just safer right now. That's just how it is.
yeah. No, no, I definitely agree. Definitely agree. On the day chart on SPY, just real quick on my all-in-one indicator has the squeeze dot because you brought up RSI and that's where I have RSI. Um,
Yeah,
the MACD is like flat. I got three squeeze dots. The money flow is totally to the buy side. I mean that to me is ready to go.
yeah,
And that's just on the day. They look pretty decent on the weekly. Um, and then I wouldn't. I mean, it's SPY. It's real hard to read that kind of stuff on the intraday. Has pretty. I mean, when SPY has 5% range intraday, it's a really hard to read the direction off of that chart. Like
yeah, yeah, for sure.
you pull up
And
20 days of SPY on a 5 minute chart, and you have 20. If you have enough screen, um, not the best read. You're better off just reading two weekly candles or three weekly candles. It's just easier to easier to read, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one more thing in this session to talk about. So this concept of a crowded trade, and
Okay.
I we're early on stuff a lot of times, and whether it's SI or just X or what anything, and
We
to
don't
me,
we,
like
we
when a
don't have
trade
enough time for you to name all the stuff we're early on.
when a,
We don't have enough time.
when a trade starts to get crowded, that's usually when I'm leaving. I felt that way with SI, that I'm like, okay, here's my $20. Went a little past that, and it's going to pull back, and then I got to wait for a new setup. So I guess I don't know how to really quantify it, but like to me, I don't like to be in crowded trades, and I
Mm-hmm.
end up in them when I'm already in it, and I'm stepping out of the room. So it's kind of like it's a little bit like going to a party to me, where I like a party to have a decent amount of people. You get too many people, and I just want to get out of there. And that's kind of how I feel about trading. I don't know if that's kind of your perception of it. Like you want the socials to catch on
I
after
follow,
you're already in
yeah, I
something.
follow Twitter so I know what not to trade. I mean, that's kind of my
And that's
thing.
part of that. Okay, I was
And
wondering if that
and
sort of was part of the
well,
deal.
well,
Yeah.
that's I think that's where you are right now. Like, I mean, look, I hate saying behind, but I mean, it's just a time thing, right? Like I'm reading a book, you're just a chapter behind. That's all it really is. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that's morphed now into, yeah, it used to be I follow Twitter what not to trade, and now I follow Twitter basically I don't even need them for not to trade, right? Like that's more my I follow them so I know when to have the exit. Like
Yeah.
I hate to keep pounding the goddamn table on Dash, but it's the one that's active right now, and we just went through it. But I think I posted that like here I'm out of the trade now. Y'all can have it. You chasing mothers, you can have it now. Here you
Yeah.
go, and it's no different with like you and Coin. Or Oxy. And I just think that's the evolution of that. But yeah, you don't want it. Definitely don't want to be in a crowded trade at all. Um, what's the one stock you've always seen me trade since we've known each other? One stock every day one to now. Still mention it today. I still mention it today.
Sorry, put
A
me on the spot.
A
AA.
S
Yeah, AA, right.
A S R
Oh,
T.
yeah, right.
Because no one else plays it. No one.
Yeah.
If I ever seen that on Twitter, I would probably cry. I would probably cry. But that's why I play that. I thought you were going to say Square because I would have given you that one too. But you can't really crowd Square, and I like the company. But
Right. Yeah.
that's no, 100%. Like when you make enough trades, eventually you see that, right? And on the option side, I can't imagine how crowded trades would be because of just the liquidity. There's only so many contracts, right? And you're trying. Some people are trying to
Yeah.
hold a couple hundred of them, and there's only a couple thousand of them. I mean, if everyone had one and there was 50,000 people trying to trade that, that would be super crowded, right? That would that would be crazy, and you don't get that on the share side. Um, that's where my $7 million or 7 million share rule comes into play too, because those can get crowded very easily if you don't have over 7 million shares. Like the 1 million shares that come up sometimes, I don't touch those. I like the free float to be 7 million, to be honest with you. And it's just through time that I've found that's the lowest I can go, um, and still not be in what you're calling a crowded trade, which I think is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, and part of this it came from MSTR. Like I was talking about that stock. I never saw anybody mention it ever. And now, everybody's all over it. It only has the float's only 9 million.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which is just was shocking to me that it's that the float's that small.
Well, and then you're
But
dividing that down to the options, right? Now you're dividing that by 100 down to the
yeah,
options, right? I mean,
exactly.
technically,
Right.
or not technically, but theoretically. I mean, I know it's not a straight math like that, but um, yeah, that used to be the thing that back to the I follow Twitter what not to trade. I mean, Twitter's not what it was 2 years ago, so you're not seeing as many tickers like get pushed. But that used to be the thing. Like crap, I'd get on there and oh, they're in it too. There'd be nothing worse than
Yeah,
thinking you found a setup and it's running and you get a good pop and an Atlas is on it. You're like, God dang
right,
it.
right.
Like, I can't play this now because I'm not trying to play it once. I'm trying to play this for the next 3 months. And
Yeah,
that's,
and that's the thing too. Like with the market cap and shares available and all that, like that's something in options people don't really think about.
no,
That
no.
like 50 contracts on MSTR at a particular strike on a day can be more meaningful than 100,000 of Tesla at
Yes,
some strike.
because of the
And
percentage you're controlling of the market cap.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's definitely, I don't understand why people, I mean, that's what, when I tell people to find stocks that work for them, that's the stuff that you really need to know. That's like, go find a wife. I mean, boobs and a butt are real great, but you need to find the one that pays the bills, right? You need to find the one that pays the
right, right.
bills, that has a degree. You need to
Yeah,
check other
yeah,
things besides it's a cool car and they have a stock.
yeah,
It's Bitcoin. They got Bitcoin and it's a stock. Okay,
yeah,
tell me more about the behind the scenes stuff. Like, did she
yeah.
graduate? Does she got all her teeth? I mean, Jesus.
Right.
Sorry for my horrible analogies. But
No, it works. It works.
all right, you ready to go to work, P?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.